Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Divisional Round Playoff Preview episode where we will be giving our predictions for it. Before we get to the games, I'll give you guys a quick update on Cal and I's head-to-head pick'em game. As I mentioned last week, Callan was the official regular season winner. He won by about 5 points. And then now we're just going to keep those scores, but we're going to add on through the playoffs. Each of the games last week were worth 2 points for the wild card round, and Cal and I each got 3 games correct. So we each added 6 points to our total, putting me at a total of 159 and Callan at a total of 164. So we still got that 5-point lead on me, but now this week each of the 4 divisional games will be worth 3 points apiece. So one of us have a bad week and one of us have a good week. There could be a big differentiation in this week. So now we'll jump straight into those divisional games. First up, we have the 6th seed San Francisco 49ers heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers in their first game of the playoffs since they had the bye last week. I have the Packers in this one, and Callan, of course, also has the Packers in this one. The Niners played well. They beat what I considered to be a pretty dangerous playoff team, and the Cowboys think their run's going to end here, though.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Green Bay is quite the powerhouse going right now. I definitely think that offensively, Green Bay wins. They outgrade the Niners by a lot, you know. Niners got Jimmy G at quarterback, the overthrow master. So, I mean, that's, you know, you got to give that the offense the upper hand over Rodgers. I will say, give Rodgers the upper hand over Garoppolo.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But I will say, their defense, though, is what worries me. That defense and running game, if they're able to get that going and the defense is able to step up like they did against Dallas, it'll be a tough game for Green Bay. But, you know, this is a rematch of Week 3 where we went to San Francisco, won it on a game-winning field goal. That's when Rodgers drove down the field with 37 seconds and no timeouts.
Yep.
Yeah. Where I even was like, damn, good game, Jimmy. You know, I gave it to Garoppolo, and then my guy was like, hold on now. My guy was like, don't give up on me. And I shouldn't have. I'm glad he didn't get mad and leave, you know. But
who would get mad in the middle of a game and leave?
That
would
know,
just
that's
be
just
so
bizarre.
crazy.
But yeah, so, you know, Green Bay's got a week to heal up. We got a lot of players coming back. We got Jairi coming back. We got Zadarius coming back. We got Randall Cobb coming back. We got David Bakhtiari coming back.
Which is, ironically, it's weird to say, but in my opinion, Bakhtiari is probably one of those biggest names on there. Jari's, of course, is also a really big one. But it's going to be huge getting that anchor out of left tackle back. That's an important position.
And we got a surprise coming back. Someone that we thought was gone for the whole season. Mid-season pickup, Whitney Merciless, was activated off IR after tearing his biceps in Week 8, was able to recover enough to be activated and was going to play some snaps for us at pass rusher.
Dude, I totally forgot you even had Whitney Merciless.
Yeah.
I totally
Yes, I couldn't believe it. Packer fans, they were almost more excited about that than Big Z coming back. Because we kind of knew Z was going to come back for the playoffs. We didn't expect Merciless to come back. Oh, man, we're going to have Rashawn, Preston, Merciless, Big Z, Kenny Clark. What? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we do give the defense upper hand to the Packers. The only thing I wonder is having all these guys come back, is that going to affect the chemistry at all? You know, I mean, they're good guys, good players. They've been around, but on field chemistry, you know, there's that. You got to fit that in somewhere.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. All 4 of these are going to be awesome games, so I'm not going to say this is going to be my most excited one to watch, but it's definitely going to be an awesome game to watch. As Colin already mentioned, back in Week 3, they went to San Francisco and picked up a win. And it's hard to beat a team twice in the year, especially those non-divisional opponents. But
it is.
I think they're going to end up doing it. It's actually really funny comparing the offenses and defenses here because they're almost dead opposite. You know, the offense of the Packers have those, big three, big four guys, however you want to say it. And then the Niners have a really good across-the-board offensive depth chart. I'd say the Packers probably take the upper hand in the offensive situation just because those big three are all they really need, and they've been able to show that all season. But then you move over to that defensive side of the ball, and it's almost flipped, where the 49ers only have a couple of really good guys. You know, your Nick Bosa, your Fred Warner. And then the Packers have the more across-the-board pretty good defense. So it's funny to kind of compare them there and see that cross. But I'd say God, it's really even on defense. I'd say the Niners maybe have just a tad upper hand, but just barely. And then even
Niners defense is just always good.
They're so inconsistent, but when they're on, they are on. It is crazy to see when they get it going. But then, like I just said, with them barely having the upper hand, if you go back to the offensive side, I think the Packers just barely have the upper hand. So it's going to be a really close matchup either way. It's going to be a hell of a game.
Do they have the upper hand if it's Trey Lance?
Hell, I mean, just with the Packers' history of running quarterbacks,
I'm terrified.
They might have more.
Jimmy G, get this. This is a little bit of some breaking news here. I don't have my phone on me for the first time. This is breaking because I was reading about it earlier. Jimmy G actually has a sprained shoulder and is questionable to even play, which means it could be Trey Lance, which.
My God, dude, they're going to miss just as many throws as each other, so you might as well have a running quarterback in that situation. I'd say Packers still have the upper hand, of course, to Trey Lance being a rookie, but hell, if Lance can come out and have himself a coming-out party,
as long as
Niners might be able to pick up that upset.
Exactly. Somebody was like, just remember, the Kaepernick game has no effect on these games that are happening now. And, it's like, well, except if you have a quarterback that's going to be like Kaepernick, maybe it does have a little bit of an effect, because I'm scarred from those games.
I can't wait for tomorrow. Headline, breaking news, Trey Lance changes his number to 7. All the Packers fans are like, oh no.
It's not allowed. It's not allowed. We won't allow it.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. I mean, that might have been all he needed to really come out. But overall, looks like Cal and I both think the Packers pick up the win. So moving on to the other NFC matchup, we have the 4-seed Rams heading to Tampa Bay to take on the 2-seed Buccaneers, and Cal and I got a split here. I have the Rams coming in and picking up an upset win, and Kellen has the Bucs. Now, if the Bucs win, it'll be the second year in a row with the Packers-Bucs championship game, so that'll be interesting to see. Second year in a row in Green Bay as well.
And the Bucs lost to the Rams earlier this year. So I was going to say that I picked the Bucs because you can't beat a team twice, but that would literally just contradict myself from the past game. So, but I did pick the Bucs because it is in Tampa. I do think that they will get the win this time. Offensively, you got to give the Rams probably the upper hand, even with Brady and the Bucs. It's like an A to an A minus kind of thing. So it's really tough. I think it's even closer than we were talking about with the Packers and Niners comparison. But that Rams offense is a little more powerful, but that defense is going to be the key. The Buccaneers defense has got to shut down Stafford. And if they can get to Stafford and get him flustered, I think they'll handle this game pretty easily in Tampa.
That's what I was just about to say. Stafford makes me really nervous picking the Rams here because he showed, especially towards the end of the season, that if he doesn't come out hot, he usually can't really turn it around and get it going. But the Bucs usually come out a tad slow. They didn't last week, but towards the end of the season, the last few weeks, they really came out slow in a few of those games. And I don't know, like I just said, it's really hard to beat a team twice in a season, which the Rams would have to do to win this game. But the Rams really impressed me, and Stafford specifically really impressed me last week. It's ironic that I went from having the Cardinals beating them to having the Rams beating the 2-seed. But
that's just because of the way they played this past week.
Exactly. Stafford showed that even with his playoff ghost coming back to haunt him from the past, he can really go out there and perform in the clutch, in the pressure situations here in the playoffs. comparing their offenses and defenses specifically, I would definitely give the Rams offense the upper hand because they're just so good across the board. I mean, Stafford's been playing well. With Akers back, they got Akers and Michelle in the backfield, which is really good to see. Odell has kind of been proving to be a pretty good pickup for them. And then, of course, Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp, not
Triple
much to say about him.
So.
And my God, Van Jefferson just seems to be good for 140-yard plus reception a game. It's funny to see. I really like Van Jefferson.
I really like their tight end, Higbee.
Higbee's been doing good.
That's a real X factor. I feel like doesn't get talked about enough.
Solid line of scrimmage there with the offensive line and the tight end. So, and then you look at the Bucs, and of course they don't have a bad offense, and you got playoff Brady and everything, but they're really beat up. They're missing some guys. Fournette apparently is back, but he's still so.
He's still going to be playing hurt.
I mean, they of course don't have Chris Godwin and
Rojo's hurt. So
Rojo's hurt. Evans, I'm not sure exactly how he is.
Evans
he seems to be better from the hamstring.
Seems to always be hurt sometimes.
Yeah. Gronk is good for a couple catches a game, but overall I say the Rams definitely have the better offense. And it's tough to pick that defense, man, because I hate to jump back to the Packers-Niners thing, but it's the same matchup where that Rams defense has a few just superstar, crazy good players and then not much in the background. And then the Bucs defense is just so solid across the board. I'd say the Bucs defense probably, I agree, picks up the upper hand because they not only have that solid lineup across the board, but they also have those superstars with Levante David and guys like that.
Devin White.
I could not think of Devin White's name. That was crazy. I totally blanked on it. But overall, again, really great matchup, really close game. I think the Rams pick up a close win. Probably last-second field goal. Wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that.
Playoff Brady, man.
Playoff Brady. It is hard to beat playoff Brady. It's like a whole different animal.
It's
crazy.
It's like he transforms, and it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna be 10 times better than I already am. Like, it's that will to win, man. He's got one of the strongest wills to win, and that really does mean something.
Definitely.
It really does.
It does. We'll see if Stafford can shake off his past woes and beat the almighty playoff Brady. Next up, we'll be moving over to the AFC side of it with the 4-seed Cincinnati Bengals heading to Tennessee to take on the 1-seed Tennessee Titans coming off of their bye week. Cal and I both have the Bengals in this one. We both got the 4-seed beating the 1-seed. And this isn't even quite like a anti-Titans pick for me. It's just much more of it's a pro-Bengals pick for me. These are two really good teams clashing. Again, you can say this for all of these, but this is going to be a hell of a game. But I think Cincinnati goes in there and picks up the win. It's hard to say with Henry coming back because it's gonna be you're gonna have to keep a close eye on Henry and see how he plays coming off of that long-term injury. Comparing those offenses is hard because the Bengals offense is like the definition of boom or bust. If they boom, it's 100-yard receivers across the board. Burrow has 500 yards passing. Mixon has another 100-yard rushing. But then there was a couple of games earlier this season where they just totally, it was a bust.
They
and
just
to
went
be honest,
flat. The Jets game just comes to mind.
Comparative to their boom status, when they usually have those boom, it was kind of a borderline bust against the Raiders. They didn't look, their offense at least didn't look crazy good against the Raiders. They of course looked good enough to pick up the win. It's hard comparing these offenses. I'm really torn because it's all just going to come down to Henry. Is Derrick Henry going to be the Derrick Henry what he was last season and the beginning of this season? Or is he going to show some scars coming off that injury? It's all really going to revolve around him.
You know, I think they can ease him in, really, because with the way that Dante Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard have
They've both been playing well.
They don't really have to get Henry back in there and make him the workhorse.
Yeah.
They can start him, run him the first quarter, and then not play him again till the fourth. You know? I mean, something like that, where they could give him a breather mid-game. And you know, game flow can change all that, but the way that those other two running backs have played, they haven't really missed a step. In fact, Dante Foreman is averaging the same amount of yards per carry that Derrick Henry was. Obviously a smaller sample size.
It's ironic.
But still, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think I got to give, even knowing that, I think I got to give the Bengals offense just a little bit more
with
here.
Mixon and Burrow and Chase, Definitely
because
give the
with
Bengals the upper hand.
Henry just coming off that injury, I don't think he's going to be quite 100%. And then they just have too many playmakers on that Bengals offense.
And Tannehill's too erratic. He can look like a competent quarterback who can lead a team, and then sometimes he can look like a former wide receiver turned quarterback. I mean,
sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like...
Oh, God, and then moving over to the defensive side of the ball, I'm pretty handily going to give it to the Cincinnati Bengals just for the sole reason that the Bengals defense isn't overly great. I mean, they're definitely solid across the board, but there's no one who really jumps out and looks great to you. Larry Ogunjobi was put on IR, so they sadly won't have him, so that's a little bit knock him down a peg. But the Titans secondary just makes me so nervous because outside of Bayard, they just have nothing in that secondary. Can't get a ton of pass rush with that front seven. I think the Bengals defense definitely has the upper hand.
The Bengals defense just all around across the board is just, I think, overall better. There's a couple pieces that Tennessee has that I think they're better at in spots, but when you look at it as a whole, it's definitely, you got to give the upper hand to the Bengals here. And I think that's why we both got the Bengals, because offense and defense, we got them graded over the Titans. I mean, on paper, this looks like it should be pretty, decisive win for the Bengals. They got Trey Hendrickson that's most likely going to play. And if he plays, definitely. But him in concussion protocol, if he is not able to clear the protocol in time, I might flip and give that to Tennessee because they're not going to have a whole lot on that defensive line with Ogunjobi and Mike Daniels out, and then that just leaves Sam Hubbard.
Hubbard and DJ Reader.
Yeah, but it looks likely that Hendrickson plays, but if he doesn't, that's going to be a really difficult blow to Cincinnati.
That's a rough scenario. I think I still give it to the Bengals, though, because, I mean, even not having Ogunjobi, I like B.J. Hill as a fill-in guy. They still have DJ Reader. They'll still have Sam Hubbard, who I really like. Not sure who their backup right end is if Hendrickson didn't play. But with those three guys beside him, I think he'll still do at least decent enough to hold up. But yeah, it's funny because if you look at these rosters with Derrick Henry not being 100%, it almost seems like it should be flipped. That the Bengals should be the 1 and the Titans should be the 4.
Right,
Here
and
we are.
At one time, the Bengals were the 1.
Yeah, for a little
long ago. It was about 10 weeks ago, but
yeah, they were the 1 for a little bit.
Yep.
They had a chance at it towards the end of the season, but just didn't fall for them. But yeah, it'll be a great game. Can't wait to watch that one. And then finally, for the final matchup of the divisional round, we got the 3 seed Buffalo Bills heading to Kansas City to take on the 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs, and we got another split in this one. I have the Chiefs, and Callan has the Bills. Yeah,
well, I think that this is the way that the Buffalo Bills played last week. If they're able to play like that, they're going to be damn near unstoppable. I mean, 40-plus points, that usually gets you a win 99% of the time. Even against a high-powered offense like the Chiefs. So, I think that the Bills' offense could outshine and grade over the... I'm sorry, the Bills' offense could outshine and grade over the Chiefs' offense because their newfound running game. The Chiefs don't really have much of a running game, and now the Bills seem to find it with Devin Singletary, makes them a much more complete offense. I give them the upper hand because of that, just barely.
If they can get Singletary 15 carries, 70-plus yards, and 1 or 2 touchdowns, this is a whole different game, definitely. I totally agree. Now, this was a tough choice to me. I was really split between this one. I think the main reason I went for the Chiefs is because the Bills kind of remind me of the Rams over on that NFC side, where they have some high highs, and they showed a high last week. But they got some low-ass lows, and their offense has shown that it can kind of fall apart if they can't get a running game going.
That's the bad thing about it.
This game is, it's funny to say, but this game is really going to hinge on the Bills' running game. You didn't think you'd ever really have to say that, but it's kind of where we are right now.
Which way it tilts, definitely.
So, God, like I just said right there, it's so hard to compare those two offenses because you pretty much have 2 offenses in the Bills. You got the offense who can't get a running game going and the offense who can. They can get a running game going. I think they're definitely over the Chiefs. If they can't, I think the Chiefs are definitely over them. So
yeah, if the Chiefs know that the Bills are passing it, and if they force them to start passing, That's the only thing that the Chiefs secondary has become very locked down. Steve Spagnuolo has done a very good job getting a hold of that team and stopping the bleeding. Because weeks 1 through 6, they were the worst ranked defense. Weeks 6 through 18, they're the top ranked defense.
32nd.
So talk about a turnaround mid-season. Hell of a job by Spagnuolo on that. And if they're able to force Buffalo into the pass, I start to then give the Chiefs the upper hand on defense. But I think all around the Bills have a better overall graded defense, but game flow could definitely put that into the Chiefs' hand.
Well, and then kind of correlating what Callan just said with that defensive turnaround, a huge factor of that was the offense not turning the ball over so much. So to kind of put a con on the Chiefs' offense's name, they have those games where Patrick Mahomes just gets so committed, I guess, to that downfield play that he got to do so much last year, where it's just chucking the ball around, scoring in 3 plays a drive. And, teams figured out how to stop that, which was pretty basic, just by running cover 3 and cover 4. But, if Mahomes gets out in his head and can't get off of that and ends up throwing 2 picks, it's a whole different game again. There's a whole nother factor that can completely change the game right there. I've literally been thinking about it this whole time you were talking. I think I'm going to give the Chiefs offense just a small nod.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's so many factors that could easily change that. And then as for defense, I don't know how you don't give the Bills defense that nod. I mean, all throughout the year, the Bills offense has been pretty inconsistent at times this year. But other than maybe 1 or 2 weeks of skewed data, overall the Bills defense has just
the defense has had some pitfalls, but yes, overall they were solid last year, and I think proved that they're still solid this year. They got a hell of a lot more players across the board.
Oh my God, you could name. God,
I could
pretty much name their entire defensive depth chart right now, and I don't even follow the Bills that much. So if you can do that, that's how you know you got a solid ass defense. That's really good. So this, to be honest, is probably going to be my favorite game of the week. All these matchups are going to be great, but this one is going to be so fun to watch. This is looking like the
most exciting game of the group.
Well, so it might not even be the most. How do I want to word this? This might not even be the most exciting game, but it's my most anticipated game to see what happens. Because as we just mentioned, with all those factors, with the Bills' running game and with the Chiefs' passing game, if they get committed to that downfield passing game, I'm so excited to see which of those things are actually going to happen and how that's going to make the game play out. So
which game flow is going to happen, because we can kind of predict which one, not which one will happen, but we can kind of predict the game flows that are going to be as the options. But seeing which one's going to be the one that goes is what it will be fun to watch.
This is one of the best divisional rounds I can remember for the past while. These are 4 really freaking good.
So is this
matchups.
super divisional round match?
we didn't get our promised super wild card weekend, so this is our super divisional round weekend.
Super divisional round.
Yeah, there we go. So those are our predictions for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.